Hey Krishna, welcome back to our evening katha. It's so nice to be back here with you again after a little. So I thought for the next few days we'll go to Kamyavan because we don't go there very often. Anyway, we hope that all of you are safe and sound. Many of you are locked down or under some restrictions. We hope you're utilizing this horrible time to increase your bhajan, increase your hearing and chanting, and we're trying to help you by serving you in this way, giving some nice Hari Katha. So one of the main temples we'll go to today is Radha Govinda temple in Kamyavan. So I thought we'd sing a very beautiful song that has Radha Govinda's name in it. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarishitarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, I Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. So, again, we'd like to welcome you all to our evening katha. We hope you're all safe and sound and increasing your bhajan, increasing your hearing and chanting. Today I thought, for the next few days anyway, we'll go to Kamyavan. Kamyavan is a very, very special tirth. So special tirth. Actually, I think it's Adi Varaha Puran says there's 640 million tirths in Kamyavan alone. And Kamya means desire. So this is the forest that fulfills all of our spiritual desires. And it is filled with uncountable, even Bhakti Ratnakar, Nahari Chakravarti says, I'm unable to describe the number of tirths in Kamyavan. So we usually enter Kamyavan from the Charan Pari is the first place we stop. Sorry, the monkey stole Arjuna's glasses. We're trying to get them back. I was undistracted. They don't usually do that around the temple, but today they did. So this hill actually used to belong to Sumukha Gop, who's the father of Mother Yasoda. And many times Krishna and the cowherd boys would come here herding the cows, and on top of the hill they would wander around all over the place having a good time. Then Krishna saw that all the cows were going far away and it was getting late in the day. So Krishna played on his flute. Now the flute is very special. There's special sounds you can get from the flute you can't get from the harmonium or any other instrument, maybe except for veena or something. So that sound was so enchanting. Even the rivers began to run backwards. Those things that were liquid became solid. Those things that were solid became liquid. So even the hill melted. Therefore we find Krishna's footprint. We can see the toes on one side, and just below we see because he was standing in threefold bending form, the feet are there and toes are on the other side, like that. And all of our acharyas have come here to this place and paid their obeisance in the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna's footprint. So this is called Charan Pari. Pahar, you know the word Parvat. Parvat means mountain. Just like you all know Parvati, she's born from the mountain, so she's Parvati. So Pahar also means mount, and Pari means even smaller, that's a Pari. So it's not very tall, but we have very beautiful view all the way up to Kamyavan from here, to Kamyavan town. And we see so many beautiful fields all around. And just below us is Luk-Luki Kund. Luk-Luki means a type of hide and seek. Actually, what would happen was at one end of the Kund, Krishna and his friends were herding, playing and having a good time. At the other end of the Kund, Radharani and her friends were bathing and taking their bath and so many things. So Krishna would go under the water, and even under the water he could recognize Radharani's lotus feet. And he would grab Radharani's lotus feet and give her a big fright. Oh, it was so much fun. If he couldn't find, if Radharani's feet didn't have to be there that day, he would grab Lalita or Visakha's. In this way they would have a good time. This is Kund. Then we come closer to the town. We come to a very beautiful place called Gaya Kund. This is where, this is the Gaya of Braj. We know that for offering oblations to the forefathers, everybody goes to Gaya in Bihar. But Krishna didn't want Nanda Baba to go outside of Braj, so he's established this beautiful place here, Gaya Kund. And it's been very wonderfully fixed up, beautiful ghats and things are there. From there we wander on down the path and we come to very special Kund, one of the most beautiful Kunds of Braj, one of the main Kunds, along with Kusum Sarovar, Pavan Sarovar. This is Bimal Kund, huge, should be Sarovar, but they call it Bimal Kund. And Bhavishya Purana tells a very, very interesting story of this place. This is where, or actually what happened in Sindh, which is now in Pakistan. There used to be a great king at the end of Dwapar Yuga named Bimal Dev. And he was living in a Champapuri in part of Sindh. And he had a beautiful kingdom, very productive kingdom. He had very pious citizens who were all very dharmic. He had opulence, his palace was unbelievable, opulence greater than Indra. And he had so many beautiful queens. In fact, he had 1 lakh of queens. Why did he come to have 1 lakh of queens? Because every king always desires to have a son to give the kingdom to. So he's always desiring a son, but instead he got 1 crore, that means $10 million. He went marrying one queen after another until he had 1 lakh queens and he had $10 million. Those girls out there, can you imagine having 9,999,000 sisters? So he was a little unhappy. One day, the great sage Yajnavalkya came to his kingdom. He noticed the very productive kingdom, the very pious citizens, everything he noticed. And he came and Maharaj Bimaldev greeted him very nicely, brought him into the palace, washed his feet, sprinkled the water on his head and all his family members. Then he sat at the king's feet. And Yajnavalkya told him, I see you have an extensive kingdom, very, very productive kingdom, very fertile lands. Your palace is unbelievable. You have opulence greater than King Indra. You have so many beautiful, chaste wives, everything that any man could ever desire. But I see some unhappiness in your face. The Prabhu said, face is the index of the mind. And Bimaldev said, yes, everything you say is true, I have everything, but I'm desiring a son. Then Yajnavalkya smiled, he said, I will give you a benediction that will make getting a son feel like nothing, completely insignificant. He said, now it is the end of Dwapar Yuga. In Mathura the Lord has taken his avatar. If you give your 10 million daughters to him in marriage, give their hands in marriage to him, then you will get a benediction that will make getting a son insignificant. He said, how will I recognize that avatar? He's very blackish. He wears a pitambar, yellow dhoti. He has lotus petal eyes. He has forearms with conch shell, disc club, and lotus flower. He's a son of Vasudeva. This is the way to recognize him. So then Yajnavalkya went on his way. And Bimaldev, he called his messenger and he gave him, I have a very special duty for you. You go to the Mathura and find out the son of Vasudeva and bring him back here for me. So that servant, he went off to Mathura, very long distance travel, but he couldn't find out anything about the sons of Vasudeva. Everyone would get, their eyes would become very big, they would start shaking whenever he talked about the sons of Vasudeva. People told him Vasudeva had no son, somebody told Vasudeva's sons are all dead. He couldn't find out anything. Finally one gentleman took him aside and said, look, my dear sir, here in Mathura we have a very cruel king named Kamsa. And it is illegal to ask about the sons of Vasudeva. I'm telling you for your own good, Buru Matmano, don't take it bad, but if you want to keep your head on your shoulders, you stop asking this question, and wherever you came, you go back. I'm telling you for your own good, just don't take it bad. So he couldn't find out anything, he was frustrated. So on his way back, he crossed over the Jamuna and he came to Gokul. In Gokul, he saw this little blackish boy with beautiful lotus petal eyes and curly black hair and pitambar dhoti, everything like Yajnavalkya described, but only he had two hands and no chakragada padma, he had flute. He was so enchanted, he watched for some time, then he remembered he had his duty to do. So he went back to Champadesh and he told Maharaj Bimaldev of his travels and his experience. Just at that time, Narad Muni appeared, because Narad Muni always appears just at that time. So they explained everything to Narad Muni. Narad Muni began to laugh. He said, no, that's the one you want. It's later when now he's in Vrindavan, but when he goes back to Mathura, then he'll have those four arms. But that's the one you want. You go and get him. That's the avatar for this age. So then the messenger went back to Gokul and he thought this is a very secret thing, he should talk to Krishna alone. But he never found Krishna alone. He's always playing with the cowherd boys. If he's not playing with the cowherd boys, then he's with the gopis. If he's not with the gopis, he's with Srimati Radharani. If not, he's in his house with Nanda Baba and Yasoda. He never found him alone. One day all the cowherd boys were climbing up the tree and jumping into the Jamuna and swimming back to shore and climbing up. So everybody was tired. So everyone lay down under the shade of the trees to take rest. And Krishna put his head on the root of one tree and began to rest. Then that messenger came and began to massage Krishna's lotus feet and he explained his purpose. And Krishna said, Are bhai, why didn't you tell before? Why are you wasting time? He said, I thought I should tell you this alone. He said, no, let's go. He grabbed that messenger and Krishna, by his mystic powers, he flew through the airways to Champapuri. When Bimaldev saw Krishna and his messenger were coming through the airways, the Brahmins were performing yajna. He immediately told them, now you start the mantras for Vivaha Yajna. You know Vivaha Yajna? Vivaha means marriage. Now I only know a little bit of Sanskrit, but it seems to me there's a connection between two words in Sanskrit. One is Vivaha, marriage, and the other is Vivad. Because after Vivaha comes Vivad. Vivad means argument. There may be some connection, the Sanskrit scholars can tell us something. So they began to chant the mantras for Vivaha Yajna, and Bimaldev gave his 10 million daughters in charity, in marriage to Krishna. And Krishna took all of those girls and he came back to Kamyavan and he began to do rasa dance with all of these gopis, 10 million gopis. And they were dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing, and they were in ecstasy. So pearl-like tears began to roll down their cheeks, and tiny, tiny pearl-like drops of perspiration came, and all that joined together and formed this beautiful Bimal Kund. Meanwhile, back in Champapuri, an airplane came from Vaikuntha, picked up Maharaj Vimaldev and took him in the self-same body back to Vaikuntha. He got benediction that made getting a son insignificant. So this beautiful Kund before us is called Bimal Kund, after Maharaj Bimaldev, and formed by the tears of his 10 million daughters dancing in ecstasy with Krishna. And on the Dwadasi day of, bright Dwadasi day of Kartik, because on the Diwali day we know that we heard at Manasi Ganga they put lamps all over all the ghats. Well, they do that on the Dwadasi not to compete. So on the Dwadasi day after Diwali in Bimal Kund, all the ghats are very beautifully covered with so many beautiful lamps. Very sweet darshan is there. And this is usually where our Bimal Kund is such a huge place. There's many places to stay. Our Braj Prikama used to stay there at this place. And so many temples are all around this Kund. So from there, we go up the street a little ways, and then just off to the right a ways, we come to a big intersection, and we go off to the right a little ways. We come to a very special temple of the Pusti Marg of Ballabhajarya Sampradaya. In fact, this is the 5th Peeth, Panchama Peeth, and this temple is called Gokul Chandrama. Because Ballabhacharya had 7 sons, to each one he gave a deity, and they established their different place. So this Kamyavan is a special place for Ballabhacharya Sampradaya. And their deity worship is very opulent. I had one friend from Ballabha Sampradaya named Shamdas, who's no longer in this world. He told me that Ballabha Sampradaya, they're the Maha Pandits of worship, puja. ISKCON, you're the Maha Pandits of Prachar. Nobody does Prachar like you guys. Their very opulent worship is done, and very strictly, you have to come right on the time. Everything is very timely. Everything is done very opulently. They sing songs according to the season. They cook according to the different things for the season. They make different type of drinks. They're the Maha Pandits of Prachar. Here we have this beautiful deity of Gokul Chandra. And according to the age of the sun, the deities are different sizes. So this is the 5th one, so he's a little small. And he has silver elephants and silver peacocks all over his altar. Very opulent worship. And you don't dare point like that. If you point, they will slap your hand. We never point at a great personality. If you want to show something about the deity, what a beautiful flute he has, or what a beautiful dress he has, then you motion with your hand like this. If you point your finger like that, they will slap you. They're very, very strict. So then we come out, and just down the street there's a little shop that doesn't look like anything. You wouldn't even believe they're selling anything in this shop. And if you come inside this shop, they're selling the very opulent Mahaprasad of Gokul Chandrama. You will find laddus, that sometimes they have laddus with so much opulent ingredients, it costs 100 rupees for one laddu. They have the most incredible sweets there you can imagine, and they don't use any plastic. Everything is wrapped up in newspaper. By the time you get back to your temple or your room, it's all completely soaked in ghee. So much ghee, it's just like Nathadwar. Very, very, and it looked tiny, indescript shop. You wouldn't believe anything is being sold there. They had these big laddus with so many opulent ingredients. We always stop there and buy a whole bunch of stuff to take with lunch. So then we go back to the intersection, and we go up the street to the next intersection and take the road. Leave the main road, go off to the left, and we come to Radha Govinda temple. So remember, all of the deities of Braj, they went to, when the Mughals attacked, then they went to Jaipur. But first they stopped for some time in Radhakund, and also they stopped for some time in Kamyavan before they were taken off to Jaipur. So we'll find the temples for all of the 3 main deities there in Kamyavan. And there's a very glorious, large temple. Huge courtyard is there little Shiva temple in the middle of the courtyard underneath a huge tree. And we come up in 3 altars there. On the middle altar is the Pratibhu deities of Radha Govinda. Then on our right there's beautiful deities of Gaur-Nitai and Prita Pavan, Lord Jagannath. And both Gaur-Nitai there have their hands like this. They're simply giving the mercy. Otherwise you can take it, they're saying, what are you doing out there in that miserable material world with this coronavirus and everything? Come on, cello, let's go. And on the far altar we have Brinda Devi. Because this Brinda Devi was originally found in Brahmakund by Rupa Goswami, and he established it in Govinda Dev temple in one of the side shrines there. When they took the deities on the way to Jaipur, when they stopped in Kamyavan, when finally they took the deities to Jaipur, the soldiers couldn't move the cart of Brinda Devi. Because this is the western petal of Braj, this is the last edge of Braj, so far that it's in Rajasthan. She refused to move, so she's established here. It's very interesting because she's incredibly beautiful red color, and her dress is in such a way you cannot see any of the form, just you see this beautiful red face with beautiful decorations and nose pin and everything. It's interesting because all the songs and all the acharyas describe her as being the color of golden, molten gold, or a champaka flower. The Ganga we told also is golden. Gangeya champeya tadid, like lightning. But she's beautiful reddish color, very mysterious. And she's actually this Vrindavan is named after her, Deena Bandhu. But we heard that she surrendered that Vrindavan to Srimati Radharani, and Radharani became Vrindavan Iswari. And she's the one, we're only here in Vrindavan by her mercy. Nobody can enter into the pastimes, or even enter into Vrindavan, or even enter into an assembly of Krishna Katha without her mercy. And she's always making arrangements for Radha and Krishna's pastimes. In fact, one time, Radharani was thinking that this Brinda Devi, she's so sweet. She has surrendered her entire kingdom. She has surrendered her forest. She's surrendered everything. She's always making arrangements for me to meet with Krishna. She does everything for me. She's so dear to me. What can I do for her? So she got all the other Sakhis together. They made a little plan. And they made a nice throne that 2 people could sit on. And then Brinda Devi came, and without her suspecting anything, the Sakhis very sweetly sat her on the throne. Then Krishna appeared on the scene, and also very cleverly, they sat Krishna on the throne with Brinda Devi. Then Lalita, acting as a priest, she began to chant all the mantras for wedding, and they performed. They tied their saris together and performed the wedding of Brinda Devi and Krishna. Although Brinda Devi and none of the Sakhis there ever even in dream thinking of enjoying directly with Krishna, Radharani, she always tries to bring them to direct with Krishna. So this is a very sweet pastime of Srimati Radharani showing her love for Brinda Devi. So then from Govinda Dev temple we go out and we go through the main bazaar of Kamyavan, and we come to Churasi Kamba. Churasi means 84. Just like we've heard that this Brajbandha Prikrama is 84 kros, Churasi kos. Or we've heard that there's 84 lakhs of species of life, Churasi lakh. So by this Braj Prikrama, every step, every coast that we go, one of those lakhs is births that we have to take is finished. So this is Churasi lakh Prikrama. So here, because sometimes Nanda Baba, he also lived here in Kamyavan. The Kauras, they moved around to those places where there's nice fresh grass. So Bisvakarma, he built this shrine for Nanda Baba in one night. And there's 84 pillars. That's why Kamba means pillar. 84 pillars are there, and every pillar has got different design. And there's a beautiful Singhasan, not a Singhasan, now there's no wooden thing there, but where the Singhasan would have been, there's a very high platform where Nanda Baba used to sit with all his brothers, Upananda, Sananda, Nandana, Abhinanda. They all used to sit here. And he would have Krishna on one side and Balaram on the other side, and with all his ministers, he would make all their decisions in this place. It's a very, very interesting historic place. And you'll examine each 84 pillars, every one is got a completely different place. Then we go a little ways further, we come to the temple of Gopinath. And it's very strange because Gopinath's temple doesn't look like a temple at all. It looks like some householder's house. The story is, just like Madan Mohan and Govindadev, Gopinath also came here and spent some time. And after they installed a Pratibhu Didi when he went off to Jaipur. So that Gopinath Didi, one time he took the form of a cowherd boy and went to some Brishbazi's house to steal butter. But as sometimes happens, we make our plans and we get caught. The very loving motherly gopi of that house, she caught Gopinath and grabbed him by the hand. And he tried to get away, but he couldn't get away, and she said, now you have to stay in my house. Therefore we find this very small deity of Gopinath is not in a big temple, but in a Brishbasi's house. This is Gopinath. So, then not far from Gopinath we find the temple of Madan Mohan. And Madan Mohan we know was the deity of Sanatana Goswami. Gopinath was the deity of Madhu Pandit. And Govindadev, of course, was Rupa Goswami. And we remember that Madan Mohan, he's the one who attracts us, Sambandh, establishes our relationship, that we're the servant of Krishna. And Govindadev, because Govinda means to satisfy the senses, but the trick is we have to satisfy Krishna's senses and our senses will be satisfied. So Govindadev, he's Abhideya. And Gopinath, he's Prayojana, full surrender, unlimited prem. So here we have the deity of, the Pratibhu deity of Madan Mohan, and a nice little temple in the side of one corner of Kamyavan town. Now we have to take a long path through the village, or actually through the town. It's not actually a village, it's quite a big place. And we come to one of the main temples of Braj, the main temples of Kamyavan. Actually on the way, we'll stop, we'll make one more stop. There's another Madan Mohan. This is the 7th. We just were at the 5th Peeth of Ballava Sampradaya. This is the 7th Peeth of Ballava Sampradaya, Madan Mohan. And there they have, this was the youngest son, so this is the smallest deity. Again, we see all the very opulent worship, and only certain times you have to come on time. If you're late, it's too late. They're very strict, and very opulent deity worship is done there, very reverentially. And again, the same thing. They make drinks according to the season. They cook different foods. Those in the winter, they cook foods that will produce heat in the body. The worship is very impeccable. And he's got his little silver rath for riding on Rath Yatra. Very, very opulent temple. And they make you sit outside, just like you go to meet a special person. You have to sit outside in his waiting room. Then they bring you in. Then they open the altar and they do the arti. Then they close and you have to leave. Very, very meticulous worship is done of Madan Mohan here. Then we go through the town to Kameshwar Mahadev. Now there's 4 main Mahadevs in Braj. Actually 5. In Mathura is Bhuteshwar, the Lord of the Bhutas, the ghosts. In Vrindavan is Gopeshwar. In Nandagam is Nandeshwar. And we were in Manasi Ganga, we heard there is Govardhan is Chakaleshwar. And in Kamyavan is Kameshwar Mahadev. The large, sort of reddish Shilas there, big temple. It used to be a small place, but just about the time we were building the Brindadevi temple, somebody expanded it, put a big roof over everything, made a wonderful place there. In fact, there's a wonderful Brishbazi who lives next door named Bimla Devi, and because Kamyavan is too far for us to go all the way back to get to in time for prasadam, because it's about over an hour and a half away to Kamyavan, an hour and a half back. So she makes the most delicious prasadam for all of us. She lives just next door, within the temple compound, you can say, Bimla Devi. So, very large, and so many bells are there all day long, and they're very strict about the way you do prikrama of Lord Shiva, because on the north side of the Shila we know the Ganga is flowing. So they never let us go all the way around. We come up to the Ganga, then you should not step over Ganga. At least in Braj, this is the system. Then you have to go back around and come to the other side up to the Ganga. They have a little line there on the floor where you can see Ganga is flowing out. And then that is complete circumambulation. You never go straight completely around, just like that. They say, just to give an example, the power of, because we said this is a place where all our spiritual desires are fulfilled. Brisabhanu, he came here in order to get children, because after a long time he wasn't getting children. First he got Sridham, then he got most merciful Srimati Radharani as his daughter. Just see the power of Kameswara. Then he got an Angamanjari by worshipping Kamdev. So all our spiritual desires are fulfilled in this place. So he's the farthest, all the deities of Lord Shiva, they're protecting the different directions of Braj. So he's protecting the far western direction of petal of Braj. And we know Lord Shiva, he's almost Krishna. Every day we sing in the Brahma Samhita, what is that? Shiram yatada divikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahitata pratyati heto ye shambhutam apitata samupaiti karyat govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Shir means milk. We heard that in the Shir Char Gopinath pastime. Shiram yatha dadi. From the milk is coming dadi. Dadi means dahi, or yogurt. Shiram yatha dadi vikara visesha yogurt. Sanjayate. Sanjayate, like Janmashtami, is born from the milk, but prittagati heto, it is different from the milk. Yogurt is nothing but milk, but it is different from milk. Somehow you put a little culture, and then over the night it turns into yogurt. And if you study Ayurveda, you'll find that milk has a certain, one of them makes your body hot, one of them makes the body cool. They have different, if you try to heat up the yogurt like a milk, it will break. So it's nothing but milk, but still a little bit different from milk. So Lord Shiva, Diva Goswami very clearly describes, he voluntarily, it's not that he's covered by the mode of ignorance, he voluntarily takes a touch of the mode of ignorance to do the service of destruction of the material world and taking care of all the people in the mode of ignorance. So Shiram yatada divikara videsha so yoga sanjayate nahi pratigdasti heto ye shambhutam api samipaita karyat. He takes up this karya, this work of destruction. I worship that Govinda, who this Lord Shiva is his plenary portion. So in Braj, Lord Shiva's purpose is to protect all the holy places. And we find him everywhere. There's not a kund anywhere in Braj you won't find Lord Shiva is there. So he's Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. He's the supreme Vaishnava. So we offer all our respects to him. So we'll, after offering our respects to Lord Shiva for kindly allowing us to be here in this holy Dham of Braj, we'll put our voice to rest here. We request you that now it's been almost 2 months. The temple has absolutely no income whatsoever. We've been serving you throughout the years. You're coming here for so many festivals. for so many prikamas, for Prabhupada's disappearance festival, the whole of Kartik. We serve out the devotees free of charge. So we've been serving all of you in so many ways. Now your turn to serve us. So you can go to iskanvrindavan.com, iskanvrindavan.com, and leave some donation, because there's nobody, all the temples are closed by the government, no pilgrims are allowed anyway, so we need your help and support, and whatever service you do in Vrindavan will be 1,000 times magnified. So how many people there today?
110 right now.
110. And you all give your blessings to Arjun. He works very hard to put all these things together. He's a technical man in this. Says, I don't understand these things. So,
Got my glasses back.
and he got his glasses back from the monkey. Although the part that sits on his ear is completely gone, but he did get his glasses back. He had a few bananas from the kitchen.
No, to go chapatis.
Chapatis, all right, look like bananas from here, all right. Anyway, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We'll see you tomorrow this time.